Hey guys, so my name is Samantha. I am an author tuber here on YouTube. I create content about reading and writing, and I'm currently working on my manuscript of my debut novel, which is a story about a girl who finds out she is a witch and is thrust into a whole new world where there is warfare going on, and it is about her journey to find her way through that world and find herself. There is enemies to lovers and found family tropes, and it is a dark fantasy. So if you're interested, please continue watching and feel free to subscribe to learn more about me and my story. So as I had mentioned in my last video, I'm a little bit of a plotter pantser, if you will, and generally I plan out all of my characters and the world building before I write. And so all of that was done before I started writing my debut novel, and I got stuck and was having some writer's block, so I used a couple of techniques that I talked about in my last video to get myself out of it. And so I started writing again, and all of a sudden I came across a new character in my book that ended up being very pivotal and is actually going to become one of the more main characters in the story. And usually my stories are very character driven, so it was very interesting for me to all of a sudden come across this character in my writing that's suddenly going to be a part of my story. So today we're going to plan out that character so that I have an idea of everything about her, so that when I start writing her, I don't, mess up things or have conflicting things in my story. That's really important to me, is that my characters are consistent and that they have growth and that they have their own voice. So I've got my little notebook here, and we are going to sit down and plan out this character together. I hope that she comes out how I want her to, and that I don't get too stumped trying to create her in the middle of my book. So it's definitely been an interesting journey to all of a sudden have to create a new character that I didn't even originally want to include in the story. And I hope you enjoy watching how I create my characters, because I certainly love it. So let's get into it. So this is my planning notebook for my book. I usually don't write things down too much. I like to type, but I just kind of use it to jot down notes that I think of on the fly. I carry it with me everywhere, and if I think of an idea, I just jot it down. So we're gonna use this to kind of start out our character creation. I don't particularly want to release her name yet, so we're just going to start and call her character B. Sorry, my handwriting is very small. So first we're gonna start off with her physical traits. So I like to have kind of a collected area where I can write down the character's physical traits so that I remember little details. So when I talk about their eyes or the way that their hair is done, I remember what I had originally planned for that character and what I envisioned. And typically what I do is I actually use Artbreeder to create an image of the character so that I can better visualize what that character looks like. So I'm just gonna say she has dark hair and it's in braids. I don't remember what I had already written, but I do want her to have eyes that kind of reflect her powers, and I think originally I had given her blue eyes, but I don't think that necessarily, I don't know that it necessarily matters, but to me I like to have my characters have some sort of trait that reflects their powers. So we're gonna go ahead and give her red eyes. And this character is a demon, so that's why she has those red eyes. We're gonna say they're narrow. I'm gonna say she has cocoa colored skin, tall, lithe, and sharp features. So she is actually half witch, half demon, so she doesn't necessarily need to have a whole lot of demon-like features. It's just her eyes that kind of bring that out. So we're just gonna leave it at that for now. So basically what I usually do is I have on my Mila note a couple of sections where I work through like what the character likes, what their goals are, and we will kind of create that together once I finish jotting all this down. So what we're going to talk about is kind of her flaws here. So I want this character to be a very genuine character. So we'll go ahead and write that here. I don't want her to necessarily be like high and mighty or anything like that. Sometimes flaws for my characters are a little bit more difficult to come up with just because they're not always super apparent in the writing. Because I don't want her flaws to be like overbearing. So I need something that is going to kind of work with the story. You know what, I'm having trouble with the flaws, so I'm gonna move on to something else and it'll come to me later. So her traits, she's genuine. She has a lot of speed, so we're gonna put fast just in her fighting style. And you know what, I'll put that somewhere else. She's definitely a caring character, open-minded. Flaws, we're actually gonna put resentful. And so she's resentful, and so that makes her kind of prone to anger. We're also going to put that she is gentle, because even though her fighting style is not, she is not the kind of person who's going to be like, she doesn't love killing for the fact that it's killing. She does it because she has to. So now we've got our physical traits down. And then our flaws and general traits. So now we kind of have to we're gonna go to her fighting style. And this is really important because my book is like around a war, so there are some fight scenes and some training scenes. So she does control fire. She's skilled with a bow and arrow. She prefers long distance fighting, but when she has to come up close, she does use daggers. She's quick. And I think that kind of sets it up there. Now we have to talk about her background. So I want this character to have come across my male main character in this book, because of like, she felt like she had to do it, because that's going to be important in future books. My book is supposed to be a trilogy, so I want this to be able to span all 3 books, and that's why my planning is so in-depth and in detail. But what I do is I have a character journey that only spans the first book, because right now I'm only writing the first book. So then when I go to plan my next book, I will continue that character journey and development through the next book. But I like to have an end point, an end idea of where she's going to end up at the end of the 3rd book. So her background is she felt forced into service because of her powers. I'm gonna say that her parents are deceased, because that's something that her character and my character are going to bond over. But I need to figure out they were killed by whom. So I think I'm gonna, because of the way that my book is working, I'm going to make the characters killed by one of the kings, or in the war. So that's something there that I need to figure out and decide at some point. So she's very lonely. doesn't bond well with her cadre, not prone to violence, and that's going to create kind of a tension between this character and my main character, my female main character, because I need my characters to have depth and in a way like create the ability to have conflict, but also to bond with each other at the same time. So I kind of have to give them traits that will work well together, but also something that may not, because not everybody is going to be the same, and in real life that's how it is people have to like accept each other's flaws and their differences. So she may be prone to anger but not prone to violence. So that's something that I'm going to have to balance there very well when I go ahead and write out this character in my story. So the next thing I need to do is write out her journey. So we're gonna start in the kingdom where she was born, and then she's going to end up in a city that is in my book, where she then comes into service in the first squad. Here, she had to prove herself to come into the squad, and that's how it works. There's like a fleshing out of the candidates to decide which squad that they go into, so she had to go through that. So she's been in first squad for, let's say, so I wrote down that my male main character has been around for, let's check here, 200 years. So 200 years, I can give her to be with him for about 50, so 50 years. Now all my characters obviously have extended lives because they're demons. So their lives spans are not the same as a human. So she's not actually 50 years old. Let's put that up here. She is about what you would say 26. That's like where her like maturity level and kind of her youthfulness is kind of what that looks like, is she's around 26 years old. So she's been with the first squad for 50 years. And then there's another character in my book that's more of a minor character, and she does not get along with him. Oh, I'm also going to put in here let's put it here, that she is lesbian, because that is how I want her to be. I want her to kind of flirt with my female main character in a way, and like have it be a little bit of a banter there when they become friends. So that's going to be actually really important to my story. So she doesn't like anyone right now, so that's not important. So we've got, this is where she starts out. And then we are going to journey into the main part of the book, where she's going to befriend my female main character. They're gonna butt heads about something that happens in the book. So we're gonna have a conflict that revolves around death. In the story, something is gonna happen. I don't want to spoil this. So I'm actually gonna leave this out right now because it's a big plot point. So I won't write that down for you all there, but I know that this is here for me. And then at the end of this story, she is going to be surprised by the actions of the male main character. So we're going to say she feels betrayed, but unable to help. So she feels stuck right where she is right now. There's nothing she can do, but she's going to try to help. So we said she's unable to help. Do we actually want her to be unable to help? I think that that's how we want it to look in this book. In this first book is that she's unable to help. So we're going to go with this. So this just gives me a real big basis for my characters. So as kind of an overview, we've got character B. She's about 26 years old. I've got her physical traits, flaws, her character traits, and her fighting style. I've got a background that kind of gives her a little bit of character depth and where she comes from, and maybe kind of where some of her actions come from. And then I've got her journey within my book, where she starts and where she ends up, and we have to kind of get there. So that's kind of the basis of how I like plan out my characters. So we're gonna go into Milanote and input all of this into our platform so that I have it permanently up in my world building platform. Okay, so I went ahead and created this platform for her, this board for her, just called it Character B, and then created an image in Artbreeder to kind of give me an idea of kind of what she looks like. And then I'm going to add a note here, and I'm going to, she does not have any nicknames, so we're going to skip that. So age, we're going to say 75 years, and then in parentheses put 26 age, so that I have an idea of kind of what she looks like, what she does. So we're going to go to height. She's going to be 5'9". I'm gonna go ahead and dark hair in braids, red eyes. I actually ended up liking her like almond shaped eyes in this instead of the narrow eyes. So we're gonna go ahead and actually go with that. Is going to be lesbian, and powers are fire. So basically that's like the gist of just like a quick little thing here. So this is my completed board for this character. I just have her photo here, a couple of important things about her here, her characteristics including her values, belief, traits, integrity including strengths, weaknesses, her story arc in this book, and then a couple of Pinterest photos to kind of give the vibe of her and her story. Alright, so I'm done creating that character and all of her background and information that I need to continue writing the story. I'm actually going to head to Barnes & Noble's and do a writing sprint and see what I can get done in my book. But for now, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed seeing my character creation process and that maybe it gave you a little bit of inspiration on how you can create your own as well. My character creation process is pretty in-depth. I do like to have a good idea of where my characters are because my story is very character driven, and that's how I like to write, is have my characters kind of flow and then the plot to kind of form around the characters. And that's how I ended up creating a new character for my female main character. It basically became a character for her because I felt like she wasn't connecting with the characters that I had already created in a way that I had wanted. They just didn't mesh well. So I'm really hoping that this pans out how I need it to and that this works out. If you would like to continue following along on my story, please subscribe. If you got this far in the video, please comment down below your favorite character in one of the books that you've read recently and why. I really hope to see you guys again soon. Thank you for watching.